from the west of the Mississippi. I am far west as you can get if you're in the United States. Anyway, greetings to everyone. Definitely a big shout out to you, a blessings to you. Today our topic is going to be the St. John's. I know a lot of us are preparing ourselves for St. John's Day coming up in the month of December. One being St. John's Day the Evangelist, and one being St. John's the Baptist Day. So how did we get here? I know a lot of us are geared up to go to church, to have church services in regards to these two patriots. But the question remains, how did we get here? To recognize these two individuals as the Holy St. John's. Greetings, Brother Vincent, how you doing? I just want to send a big shout out. If you are in California, if you're in Southern California, if you're anywhere between Los Angeles, California and San Diego, Long Beach area, any of those areas, we want to invite you to come out to our St. John's Day, which is going to be December the 3rd. It's going to be at the Household Bible Way Church. Now, I'm going to break some things down to you because you may say, well, Brother Tony, you guys are having your St. John's Day at church. Yeah, but this is not your average St. John's Day. This is not going to be coming to church, hallelujah, praise the Lord type of thing. So our St. John's Day is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to explain that to you. And I'm also going to break down why you have the St. John's as your patriots within the construct of Freemasonry. Okay? So greetings everybody who's about to pop in. I want to just say it's a blessing to have you along with me today. It's a little breezy, but man, it's freaking beautiful. And it's just an honor to really be able to come before you today to do this. I'm just being honest. It's really a blessing. And today we're going to get into the St. John's because I know a lot of us is like, yeah, we got St. John's Day coming up. You all hyped. You all hyped. Yeah, you are. So we're going to get into this real quick. So look, greetings. What's up going on, Williams? Vincent, what's going on? Earl, what's happening, Jay? Oh yeah, what's going on? It's good to have you with me today. We are talking about the St. John's, those two patrons of Freemasonry as we know it today. The question is, was it always that way? What's up, money?
Come on, baby.
All right, that's the question. Was it always that way? Did we always have St. John's the Evangelist and St. John the Baptist? And the answer to that is no. No, sir. Nope, nope, and nope. They are recent. St. John's Day, the Baptist, and St. John's Day, the Evangelist, the two that we celebrate, one during the winter and one during the spring or summer, they are totally new to Freemasonry. Yes, sir. Before you had those two St. John's, the question remains, who were your lodges dedicated to? Who were your lodges dedicated to? Before they was dedicated to the St. John's as we know. What's going on, Bobby Jackson? Greeting to have you with us today. And to the sisters of the Order of the Eastern Star, it's great to have you along too. So who were they dedicated to? Does anyone in the chat, yo, what's up, big bro? I'm a fella craft, non-raising is coming soon. Go ahead, get that in. Get that work in, bro. So the question is, today, before you had the St. John's, St. John the Evangelist and St. John the Baptist, who were your lodges dedicated to? Who were they dedicated to? Go, you need to think about that just for a moment. Who were the, yeah, that's one of them. I need another one. Come on now. Come on, Brother Big. I need another one. I need another one. King Solomon was one. What's up, John Hall? That's my big brother, John Hall. What's going on with you? King Solomon is truly one of the patrons that the lodges was dedicated to. I need one more. Can anybody help me out? I need one more. There were two. Before you had St. John's Day, St. John the Evangelist and St. John the Baptist, you had two other patrons from whom Freemasonry was dedicated to. All right. No, Noah? Or are you saying Moses? Or are you saying Nashua, which means Moses? Brother Vincent? Okay, so here's who we're going to go with. Because I think I know what you're talking about. The two patrons before you had the Baptists and the evangelists, you had Solomon and you had Moses. Moses being the first, Solomon being the last. Those were your two patrons from whom your lodges was dedicated to. Now, if you don't trust me, Ham, no, it wasn't Ham. Not wasn't him. It was This is what I've come up with. This is what I've come across from my own research, and I ask you to go do the same. All right? From what I've found, from what I have found, is before there was the St. John's, the Evangelists, and St. John the Baptist, the lodges were dedicated to Moses and Solomon. The Masonic lodges were dedicated to Moses and Solomon. Moses being the first, Solomon being the last, because he was the son of King David. Now, those are who your two patrons were. And that's who the Baptists and the Evangelists represent in the true essence of Freemasonry. You found Noah and Moses? Okay. I can even roll with Noah and Moses. And I'm believing that as Freemasonry grew and changed, depends on where it was at, those patron changes. Because I've heard of Noah also. I've discovered Moses and Solomon. So I can kind of see the patrons of Freemasonry changing. Because Freemasonry is such an old society, a brotherhood of craft, that it's changed. It's changed. The patrons have changed. Greetings, brothers. King Solomon, number 14, Memphis, Tennessee. Greetings to you. That's why it's progressive. Absolutely. And a lot of people can't get over that. A lot of people cannot get over the fact that Freemasonry is a progressive science. But why even would you say that? Because in the second degree, for which I think this brother told me just a few minutes ago, he posted that he was a fellowcraft getting ready to be raised soon. See, in that fellowcraft degree, you are handed all the working tools of a Mason in the second degree. In the second degree, you discover the universe. In the second degree, everything is handed and open to you to go study and learn. Because in the first degree, you're supposed to occupy your mind with use for knowledge. Where in the first degree, you occupy your mind with use for knowledge. In the second degree, you apply that knowledge that you learned in the first degree. That's what you're supposed to do. So when I discover something in the second degree amongst the sciences, amongst something that is progressive, now I'm supposed to occupy my mind with useful knowledge. Forget all the other stuff, useful knowledge, things that's going to transcend me as an individual to the next level. This is why when the universe taps you on the shoulder and open your eyes, you can't close them. Correct, Brother Williams. This is why when the universe taps you on the shoulder, you cannot close your eyes because you have been selected. Plain and simple. For my own experience, and I've had some. God, oh Lord, when you come to a point within this society of Freemason, when you get to that point, and you see the BS versus the authentic, versus the Freemasonry and the true essence of the brotherhood, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. See, when you get to that point and you begin to break down some things, a lot of the stuff don't even bother you no more. A lot of the BS that you would hear doesn't bother you anymore. A brother hit me up the other day. He said, Brother Tony, if you extend your hand as a grip to another brother and you know him to be such, and he doesn't extend that same grip or the same fellowship, what do you do with that? I said, fuck it, you let it go. It ain't your problem. That is not your burden to carry. That is not your issue. As a true and upright man, You identified him to be such, and you gave him the benefit of the doubt. That's what you did. And then he didn't accept it. He didn't reciprocate it. Nah, you let that go. It's not worth your time. You know, you have energy that you give out, and it's not worth you giving out that precious moment that you can't ever get back once you have extended your hand to someone and they take it back. Just as it is when we deal with these St. Johns. When you identify that whether it's Moses or Noah or Moses and Solomon as the St. Johns beforehand, before we know that to be St. John's Day, St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist, when you begin to realize that some of the things that we are practicing now were some things that came along later, it's like, oh, okay, all right. So what do you accept? I accept the progressive way. I accept the mere fact that things change. And the Freemasonry for which we know today is not the same Freemasonry for which was known 30 or 40 years ago. This whole thing has changed, because when you look at where the Freemasons were before we know it as it is today, you got to look at the Essenes. Yeah, go check out the Essenes. Christ was a part of this exclusive group called the Essenes, or the Essenes. You go check them out. All right, and then you had his buddy, Brother John, was part of another exclusive society. They were. Check out how they was dressed, how they was only dealing with their own group. St. John's disciples who followed him, they didn't necessarily mingle with Christ and his disciples. They knew of each other. They fellowshipped here and there, but they didn't necessarily mingle with each other. Go back and read scripture. So now you have these two patrons that we have, St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist. One represents death and one represents life. That's a fact. The reason you celebrate these two patrons is because as time changed, as things progressed, you found that Masonry itself grew into more of a Christianity craft Masonry. It did. Scottish Rite being the oldest, York Rite came along later. And in the process, it grew. It grew into this more of a patron type of craft Masonry, because if you go on the York Rite side, your degree work isn't finished until you finish the Royal Arch. You could be a Master Mason, raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason, but your work isn't complete until you have gone through the arches of until you enter into the Royal Arch Mason. Then your work as a Master Mason sublime is complete. Then you can say, okay. But until then, no. But it's been split up. It's been broken down that way. So when you look at what we have today in Masonry, especially here in the United States, you practice your first 3 degrees, then you choose to go into the York Rite or Scottish Rite side of Freemasonry. However, days before, your Master Mason degree work didn't end until you became a Royal Arch Mason. But the ancients and the moderns came to a compromise to split it up. And here's where you get that practice from. But when you look at St. John's Day, as we practice here in the United States, because it's more geared towards the Christians. That's a fact. Somebody can talk back to me on that one. That's a fact. Occupy your mind through useful knowledge. Imhotep the third is King Solomon. Antiochus and Moses. Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. The more I come on and discover, some of you brothers are very, very crafty. You have a lot of information, and I want you to share it. I don't want you to hold your information to yourself, because once you're gone, everything that you knew, everything that you had in you is gone. Please share your knowledge with your brothers and your sisters. Share it. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Light that light in there. Light that light for him. A man who has a light and he puts it under his bed is worth nothing. Nobody can see it. No one. So I tell a sister, I tell a brother, let your light shine. Let it shine. You know, let it shine. Don't be holding it back from no one. And that's real talk. I haven't finished my journey, but that's okay. You know a lot more than a whole lot of people know. Trust me on that. And what I'm finding is that people who can't share knowledge, people who talk a good game in regards to being a Mason or an Eastern Star, you can talk it, but how is that translating into what brothers and sisters know who are in your circle? You know, so today as we discuss the St. John's, Moses and Solomon, Noah, and those who preceded the St. John's and how we got to where we're at right now. The St. John's Day is supposed to be a day of feast, a day of feast, celebration, not one where you go to church to celebrate, but one that you celebrate the life and death, one being of life, one being of death. And you may say, well, how do you do that? Because in the winter months, you can't grow anything in the winter months. Everything is burned. If you know anything about farmers, anything that they can't harvest, anything they can't keep, they're burning it. During the winter, they're burning it. Then they tore the ground up. They recultivate the ground. They go and they do their thing to it. And then when it comes time to plant, because you have tore the soil, and now you can replant again, you know, and you can grow again. So that's the uniqueness when you talk about the St. John's. It's not a church festivity at all. It is a day of celebrating life and death. In the winter months, it's that of death. That's what you're doing. It's a great day of feasting. Like it says in the burial cycle for a Mason, it is said, is it best to go to the house of the mourning or the house of the feasting? That's what you do, you know. You're going to the house of the feasting. You're going to celebrate. You're going to break bread and give thanks. And it's not in a church. It's not. It became churchy here. That's what we did to it. It became churchy here. But when you go to fellowship with other brothers of the craft from other jurisdictions, besides that which is in the United States, you'll find that it's very churchy. Greetings from King Solomon Grand Lodge of Virginia. How you doing? Glad to have you here with us. So it becomes very churchy. So I'm saying that if you're in Southern California, or if you want to come and celebrate this St. John's Day with us, it's going to be different. Although we are holding it at a church, this is going to be a feast. Food, regaled, celebration. There would be no, and I told you, and God said, there would be none of that. It would be none of that. Brothers and sisters, don't you know the the continent of, I think that's continent, I missed that. Or Europe is named after a black woman. Ooh. All right, thank you for sharing. That's what I'm talking about. Share the knowledge, share the information. Definitely get it out there. That's real talk. But this is where we're at, you know, and that's the beauty of it all. So as you go back, I tell you what you do. Do me a favor, any of you, go back and look at the Essenes and see who they were at the time. You'll be surprised. Talking about secret societies and organizations. You'll see. And look at how they dealt with people. Look at the information that they withheld from the common person. You know? Greetings from the Scottish Lodge number 884 in the UK. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I appreciate you. So today's conversation is in regards to the St. John's and who were they. You know, and we're discovering that as time progressed, the St. John's change. You know, they change. And we who are Masons, we who are Eastern Stars, we who are the protectors of the craft is going to have to realize things are changing. And we can no longer set our by and say everything is good. Everything is not good because we have allowed the craft to suffer. We have done that. So today, as we discuss the St. John's, we must realize that we are the protectors of the craft, and we can no longer just take that job lightly. You can't take being a Mason or Eastern Star lightly. You have to protect the organization. When I say protect it, I'm simply saying the information or the enlightenment or the illuminating of a person that you bring in, that person got to be ready for it. Because if you go into a Masonic lodge or a order of the Eastern Star chapter, and they are really into the order, you may not be ready for it because you're thinking about having a party, and it's not that way. It is not that way. But I do want to send a big shout out to Brother Tyrone McGee. Brother Tyrone McGee out of Hosea Lodge number 7 in San Diego. He just recently received his Royal Arch degree, and I can say that it was a Slim Daddy number 9. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Big shout out to you for your contribution. I want to send also Brother Nico Sanchez. I want to send him a big shout out. He just received his LOP. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this. How I do this? How do you do what there, bruh? This is funny because when you get ready to go into these preceding degrees, I'm just going to change it just for a minute. You know, when brothers think they really know it all, they got it. They can spit that stuff out. And then when you get ready to go into these, it says, has he made proficiency in the preceding degrees? It asks you that throughout the whole process. And then when the brother think that he's on it, and all of a sudden, he can't remember nothing. Can't remember nothing. You know, you will find it in the temple of Lexar. Yep. You know, so as we proceed to go into our celebration, once again, you are personally, I'm sending you a personal invitation to come out and celebrate the St. John's Day with us here in California. We're going to be in Linwood, California this year at the Household Bible Way Church. That's in Linwood, California. I want to say to my grand matron, and my grand matron has really, really changed. Oh my God. A few years ago, she'd have never had this type of St. John's Day. She would be like, oh no, we are not doing that. She's that one. But as you begin to learn, as you begin to see things, and you understand that you was taught a certain way, and when you begin to download new information, you be like, yeah, we're gonna do it this way. And to this year, she was like, yeah, we're gonna celebrate St. John's Day this way. And the Grand Master was like, yeah, let's do it. So we are making sure that those who come through the doors of Freemasonry understand Freemasonry. Period. This is not a game to be played with. We want our brothers of the craft and our sisters of the order to really enjoy themselves and understand it. What's going on, Yolanda White? How you doing? It's good to see your face, have you with us today. Today we're discussing the St. John's Days and how they change. And what we know as St. John's Day today, in a few more years from now, who knows? It may not be the same. It just may not be the same. But you have to understand, how did we get from place to place? And as I said before, the St. John's are do some history on, oh, okay. I'm going to take a look at that one. Who posted that? I can't bring it back up. Marcus. Okay, gotcha. I'll do something. I'll check it out. You know, so look, I know some of you are just tagging in. I've been on here for about 24 and something, and this is usually my break, man. It's a beautiful day today, and I just want to have you on. I'm grateful to be here before you today, because, you know, what I try to do and what I want to do is to enlighten the sisters of the order, enlighten the brothers of the craft in their degree work. I want you to be proficient. I want you to understand that this is a beautiful thing, man. I'm never going to tell a brother or sister that they won't have any issues with anyone in the craft. I'm not going to tell them that it's going to always be great, but I want you to enjoy it. I want you to enjoy what the organization itself, your organization, your jurisdiction. I want you to go out. I want you to enjoy it. And man, yeah. When they say all rights, rights, and privileges, it's that thing. It's that thing. I was talking with some brothers today from the Bahamas. We had a great conversation. It was enlightening for me to be able to speak to them. It was just a good thing, you know. Sunshine, what's going on with you? Good afternoon. Yeah, it's about that time. It's about that time. It's about that time for me to be clocking in too. That's real talk. But I'm here with you today for a few more minutes, and go back and do that research on the St. John's. And you'll be surprised at what you'll come up with. That's for real. I'm dealing with disrespectful sisters right now. Ooh, Sunshine. I tell you what, Sunshine. I'm gonna put my number out. 61. Okay, I'm gonna put my number out. My number that you can hit me up at is going to be 858-707. 8852. You can just, and when I log off, Sunshine, if you want to have that conversation, give me that call. We can have that conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Ancient, free, and accepted Mason has no ending. I'm addicted to the knowledge. Brother, I'll tell you what. The more I read, the stuff I print, I give out at the lodge meetings, and stuff people call and ask me about. If I got it, I'll share it with them. I email it. I'll do whatever I can to get them the needed information. And like sometimes when we have our Zoom meetings are only for Eastern Stars and Masons. Sometimes I do it separately. Sometimes I do Zoom meetings strictly for Eastern Stars. Sometimes I do Zoom meetings strictly for Masons. And I have Masons from all over the place. I mean, just on the Zoom. We get about 20, 25 Masons, 20, 25 sisters separate. And we have these real open conversations in regards to the craft, in regards to the sisterhood. That's a beautiful thing, and nobody is tripping. That's the uniqueness of when I do this, and I like it. And then we can go in depth on passwords, what they really mean. We can go in depth on the color of the points and what we can do all of that, whereas I can't do this here publicly. No, some things I touch on, some things I won't. I mean, some things are left strictly for the craft, and some things are left strictly for the Order of the Eastern Star. And those things you're gonna only get when you become a member. And that's the beauty of the organization. You can go pick up any book you want to and read it. You can go to Barnes and Nobles, you can buy Dogs and Albert Pike book, you can buy the Scottish Rite Volume 1 and 2, you can get all of that. But until you are initiated into these rites, it won't mean anything to you. Yeah, so once again, I'm gonna give out my number. That number is 858-707 5582. All right, so hit me up at that number and we can have that conversation. But right now I'm gonna go ahead and log off. And to everybody who's just coming on, I want to say I appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up button. And yes, if you're interested in joining our live Zoom on the Eastern Star or on Freemasons, but you have to be a Mason or Eastern Star to get in. And you gotta, when you come on, you gotta show that card. You gotta show your face. You gotta tell her what lodge you're from, and we will definitely have you on, and we can have these deep conversations. I think that's best. Brother Tony Muhammad Hawkins, you have opened my eyes and my mind to a lot of knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really do. So look, everybody, I gotta go. Peace and be well. Until next time, whatever you do, stay out the bushes and keep your light on. I'm here to help you study, and we're gonna get it on. All right? Peace. Oh, by the way, before I log off, email me. If you want to be part of the Zoom, you're going to have to email me. And the email address is jgjafam@yahoo.com. if you want to be part of the Zoom that we usually have, and we'll get that information over to you. Peace and be well. I'm out.